up, folks? Welcome back to On Texas Football. Welcome back to the Winning Drive, the prime time edition. I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Davis. Pleased to be joined by another Lifetime Longhorn, the young prodigy himself, C.J. Vogel. Coach may join us a little bit later on. He's got some prior obligations he's getting. He's got to get to, but everything's good. He'll be back with us on Thursday. Big story, of course, is Brendan Sorsby, a judge in district court in Lubbock County, granted the injunction requested by Texas Tech quarterback Brendan Sorsby. So he will be available to play after a 2-game suspension. He'll miss the first 2 games of the season, and then he'll be available for the 2026 campaign for Texas Tech. So we'll break it down. A lot of layers to this thing. We'll try to slap it up and flip it and rub it down as best we can. All right, Von Lane, shout out to them for being our lead sponsor tonight. Shout out to our friends at Hargrove Prize Picks as well. We'll tell you more about them coming up later on. All right, now, CJ, by the way, show belongs to you. So questions, comments, throw them out there. Whatever you guys want to talk about, we know what you want to talk about. Super chats always jump to the front of the line, and you can interrupt the show at any time. All right, CJ, you've had some hours now to process this thing. Brendan Sorsby now being eligible for Texas Tech. There will be an appeal by the NCAA. That needs to be stated. There will be an appeal. I don't know if they've already filed it or in the process of it, but there will be an appeal filed. We can talk about that process coming up a little bit later on. So they're not done officially, but looks like right now Texas Tech fans are celebrating because they feel like they got themselves a win. Looks like all signs are pointing to Sorsby being available for 2026.
Yeah, Rod, I know that you, myself, and Jerry Hamilton had a video earlier today when the news originally broke. And, I think that's where you'll see a lot of our, true emotions, right? True kind of reaction to all of this. In the hours that have passed since then, I think more than anything, it's just frustration that this is where we're at with the sport, right? It shouldn't be like this. And, the more that you sit here and see how the dominoes fall, you kind of realize there's nothing to change the fact that this is what the sport has come to, where you can just find a quote unquote retired judge that was handpicked according to the Commissions Act. Look, it's frustrating because the one cardinal rule in the sport of any sport, not just college football, but competitive sports across the board, is to protect the integrity of the game, to ensure that the game is played in a way that's not compromised to outside factors or to belittle the competition in which the spirit of the game is supposed to be played against. And this is the one thing that you can definitively point to and say, hey, you cannot gamble on games that you are suiting up for. Whether he had an impact on the game, impacted the outcome, whatever, if he was on the sideline of a team that he gambled on or just gambled in games anyways, that is the one line that you just cannot cross in the sport, and it just doesn't matter anymore. So I know that was a conversation that we had earlier. We're going to have more of it again, but I think this is just opening up Pandora's box. The genie's out of the lamp. What regulations, what stipulations can you now put on others? You can't enforce anything if you can't enforce the one golden rule of competitive athletics.
Yeah, I believe kind of the running joke is that they are the NCAA now has to be the only organization in the world, sports organization in the world, that is disallowed essentially from punishing an athlete who is betting on their own team. I know they got the 2-game punishment, but essentially they've been disallowed. So it's an ugly reality. But this is I'm gonna try to get to maybe it's a bright spot to this thing, because you stay on social. We all on social media a lot, right? Our timelines, they're algorithmically, kind of placed there for us based on our likes and stuff that we're looking at and stuff that we're watching and reading. I have not seen in a long time in this country, and this goes past sports. I've not seen this much unanimous dislike for an act so uniquely despicable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's outside of Texas Tech fans, I'm going to say it's like 99% of people out there are like, oh, this is disgusting. Oh, this is egregious. I can't believe that they would do this. They have no integrity, no morale. When's the last time we as a country about any topic all right, have been this, I think, united in our dislike of something. My point of that to say, CJ, is that it might end up because politicians love jumping on stuff like this because it's easy. It's easy. It's like, oh yeah, everybody hates it. Good, easy. That means I get street cred. I can jump on it. So the political movement for the Protect College Sports Act, all that kind of stuff, whatever, or a movement by the Big Ten and the SEC to emancipate themselves from the NCAA and start their own governance model, whatever it may be. This may be the rock bottom. What they always say, and I'm not trying to be insensitive to the addiction of Brennan Sorsby, because I'm praying a young man gets the help that he needs. Like I'm not wishing ill will on that young man, not at all. But they always say with addiction, right? Oftentimes they got to hit rock bottom. And you got to hit rock bottom before it's like, all right, you got to do something. Like you got to change this. And I feel like for people who have not necessarily been as immersed in college sports as we have been, they're like, what the hell is going on with college sports? It looks like broken. And we all been like, well, it's been broken for like 5 years or so like that. But now it feels like there's a movement. Everybody's saying, man, this is rock bottom. You cannot get worse than this. The sport has lost its soul. It is not the sport. They've lost their way, period. And I think this may end up being a positive thing in terms of the momentum and the narrative and the conversation about a real change in sports. And yes, you need to move on from the NCAA.
Yeah.
We all know that.
That alone might be the only silver lining out of this. Because and I've seen a lot of the conversation today is, look, if this is the straw that finally breaks the camel back and, the Big Ten, the SEC, and the powers that be finally look at the NCAA as, kind of the skeleton of what it was intended to be with the true governance of the sport, then, hey, maybe they do move on. And maybe the sport is better 5 or 10 years from now. But that's not what the conversation is today about, right? Today is about the sport of college football today, right? What is going to happen tomorrow or this season? And this is obviously a big stain on exactly that. And look, I don't want to call in, the question of an addiction to sports gambling, because that is very severe.
Mm-hmm.
But you look at 90,000 or 9,000 bets, $90,000 wagered.
Crazy.
It's $10 a bet, right? So were you truly admitted due to a gambling addiction, or were you someone stumbled upon, hey, this is something you shouldn't be able to do. Here's your penance to go 35-day outpatient treatment. That's something that I wonder, because that's a lot of gambling, right? It is. But in the scope of a guy that now just made $5 million, it's not, right? It's just, it's not. So I think that was a little of damage control there. The other thing, and Rod, I wanted to go back to what you mentioned earlier, because I think you're absolutely right. I think Michigan had their time in the sun, right? When you sat there, we all sat here and said, hey, the cheating, sign stealing, bad.
Yeah. No brainer.
Not good.
No brainer, right?
It's like, I think universally that was all agreed upon outside of the folks that were like, hey, the banner is still hung, right?
Yeah.
And inside the big house. And to which, look, the NCAA is not going to do anything about that, right? We know that to be the case, but it absolutely is. I mean, some of the most overwhelming approval rating to, I guess, the citing of just like, hey, this is not what we should be doing right now. Mm-hmm. And then I wanted to get your take on this, because I think it falls on deaf ears. I certainly think it goes in one ear and out the other for me. But the folks that say, well, he was betting on his team, right? It wasn't against his teammates, or it wasn't against his players or his team. To me, that is BS.
Yeah.
That still does not absolve him from breaking the one cardinal sin of sports. And he sits in those meetings. He watches tape. He knows what's going on with the game plan for a game. That doesn't do a thing for me when it comes to the severity or how he should be viewed from really the common fan, national pundits, or the NCAA at large. And we'll talk about what other schools are doing to Texas Tech now for the future, because I think that's very interesting. And I think it's something that I'm very much a fan of as well.
Yeah, I'm a fan. Yeah, we'll get to that. I'm a fan of, listen, the NCAA is not, they can't govern this new age of college football. They're ill-equipped. They're incompetent and impotent at the same time, right? they're not agile enough. They're just not constructed well enough to be able to do that in the modern day, especially with the ever changing model that is college sports. So I like that this kind of self-policing, that's these ideas about self-policing going on. Like, we're going to boycott and protest this Texas Tech, at least the support they have for Brendan Sorsby's eligibility in the face of all this gambling, the gambling addiction and all the bets that he made. In the face of all the evidence, we're still going to support him, even though it will be at the cost, at the expense of the moral integrity of the sport. We don't give a damn about that. What's best for Tech? So I want to get to that next, but a couple of things before we dive into a lot of super chats here, a lot of questions, and I want to get to them for sure. One of the things that I think is also interesting, because the appeal process, for those, an appeal is going to happen. The problem with the appeals, there's a couple of problems with the appeals process as it relates to this specific case or temporary injunction. Is that, and this is a great breakdown about this. I want to make sure I give him credit. It's Christopher Courtoville. And I'm probably sure I butchered his name, but here's the breakdown that he put out there about the injunction and the appeal. He said, so the temporary injunction obtained by Sorsby is valid through the date of trial. They were smart enough to put the date of trial essentially after the season.
February?
Yes, it's after the national title game. And so this injunction will basically give them relief in his ability to play throughout the season until that trial date. Now, there can be, some people said, an emergency immediate appeal, and that will go to the 7th Court of Appeals in Amarillo, Texas. And this is fact, because I looked it up and went online. I was like, is this real? There are 4 justices that occupy the 7th Court of Appeals in Amarillo. They are all Texas Tech law grads. I've not made that up. That is real. You can go look it up. I thought it was fake. I was like, that can't be real. It's real. They all have a connection to Texas Tech. Yeah, all 4 of them. Yes. Wow. So it goes there, but then, I don't know what chance you stand there. And even if they do, the chances of it being heard in, like, basically in between the assigned date, all right, and now are highly unlikely. They said that probably, even if they have an immediate injunction or maybe like an emergency appeal, I should say, they said it'll probably take place during the season sometime. Like, it'll be during this, it'll be like in
which he'll be eligible to play up until that point.
Exactly, it'll be like October or November or something like that, and so he's gonna play. The way it's looking right now is the problem with the appeal is that even an accelerated appeal is likely to take at least 9 to 12 months. And so, like I said, it doesn't really matter. Even if they decide to overturn it on appeal, it won't happen until after the fact, it seems like.
Yep.
So, yeah, there you go. All right, I know we got some super chats here. Let's get to a couple of the super chats.
And Stevie's here as well.
Oh, Stevie's already here. Oh,
our good friend Stevie Lee, waiting to talk about it. Come on.
We're so deep in it. I forgot Missy was here. Okay, so let's thank our sponsor first, and then we'll dive into Stevie Lee. Let's thank our friends over at Von Lane really quickly. Von Lane, we appreciate you for being a part of the On Texas football family. Our friends over at Von Lane, they do a great job, not only getting you from point A to point B, but doing it in a luxurious fashion. They first-class travel experience on the ground. A lot of you out there still flying to those shorter routes in between major Texas cities, or maybe you're driving yourself, which could be even more dangerous or at least stressful, driving yourself, dealing with traffic and road rage. And then when you get there, you're all jet lagged and tired. You got to go to a business meeting. You don't have to deal with that. Our friends over at Von Lane, folks, they offer you a first-class travel experience on the ground. They have free Wi-Fi. The Wi-Fi, by the way, has been upgraded with Starlink internet. So now the Wi-Fi is faster and more reliable. You get snacks, you get beverages, hot towel service, even have complimentary meals on certain departures that you can sit back and relax and see that plush leather seat right there. Man, you can get good naps. I've taken a couple of naps on the Von Lane. Get great naps. Also get a lot of work done on the Von Lane. Right now they serve Houston, Dallas, Austin, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands as well, Nashville, Memphis, and Atlanta. You can book at vonlane.com and enter the code OTF26 at checkout to receive $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. And if you're thinking about game day travel coming up this football season, think about Bond Lane, especially if you're traveling from North Houston or the Woodlands. They have a great route. It'll take you right from H-Town right to Austin. You don't have to worry about the traffic. You don't have to worry about all the stress of where you're going to park when you get out there. Our friends at Bond Lane, they will take care of you. Also, while we're taking sponsors, let's thank our friends over at Prize Picks as well. Folks, if you're not picking with Prize Picks, you're doing yourself a disservice. Friends at Prize Picks, they are offering you a great experience because you can get creative with Prize Picks. All right, you're picking more or less on player stats, so it's really easy. It's not complicated at all. You can go with whatever your passion sport is, or you can mix and match across different sports. That's what I like about it. But now every possession matters, every at bat matters. You're locked in from start to finish, and you're not just watching anymore. You got some juice in it, and like I said, and it's really easy. You can take your favorite player on your favorite team, mix and match that with basketball or baseball or hockey, whatever you're into. Our friends over at Prize Picks, they can take care of it. You can go with your gut, or you can do a lot of research. Like I said, it takes minutes, and it's not time consuming, not complex, just really fun. Adds to your sports viewing experience. It's available in all 50 states, including right here in the great state of Texas. So if you haven't jumped in yet, now's the time. Download the app, use the code HMA, play $5, and they'll give you $50 in lineups instantly. The code is HMA. 5 gets you 50. It's just that simple. And as always, play smart, play responsibly, play Prize Picks. All right. Thank you very much to our sponsors. And thank you to Stevie. What's going on, Stevie?
What's happening, man? How y'all?
How you feeling, brother? How was your weekend?
It was good, man. Relaxing. I don't think I didn't do very much. Just
that's the best weekend.
Yeah, a rare summer sun. Yeah,
that's the best kind of weekend, man. All right, let's get right to it, Stevie, because I'm sure you've heard the topic of the day. Brendan Sorsby has been granted eligibility for the 2026 season. He will have to sit out the first two games of the season, but then after that, he's ready to go. Thoughts, Stevie? Thoughts about it, brother?
Man, I don't. It's just weird, man. We're just in this weird time right now. Like you were saying about the judges that's presiding over him, are Texas Tech Red Raiders, and then in my logical head, then they have to recuse themselves and send it to a different court. Well, in this day and age of this court all over the country, federal court all over, no one is recusing themselves for anything, right? Like when our president sends something up to the Supreme Court, well, the people that he appointed should recuse themselves, and no one is doing that. So they're never going to do that. I don't wish any ill on a kid, but we got to do what's fair and what's right. Like every football player knows they shouldn't be gambling on games, right?
Yep.
And then he just got a slap on the wrist to do what he gets to still play after doing what he did.
Yeah.
So this is, I don't know, man. It's a little weird to me. That's just what I'm gonna say.
It's funny in a way that had Sorsby in his camp not proposed the 2-game suspension against ACU or Oregon State, he might not have been facing any punishment or time off of the field at all. Yeah. Right? Because that was part of the agreement was, hey, you offered up those 2 games that you sit out. Stevie, I know that the conversations on campus now, I mean, given, you turn on OTF and there's Prize Picks at the top. You turn on ESPN, there's ESPN Bet, there's DraftKings, there's FanDuel. There's all sorts of – and it's so accessible, right, when it comes to gambling today. But these kids on campus, the minute that they get there, they're sat down and they say, hey, don't even think about it. Don't even download the apps. Don't make an account. I just don't understand how something this, vulgar is just looked the other way upon.
Yeah. And that's an investigation in itself. Like, who knew that he was doing
when
this?
They knew. Yeah.
And when did they knew exactly?
Yeah.
So, again, a slap on the wrist. And I think we're just seeing the smoke. I think there's fire around because, Rod, we know this. You're in the DB's room. If one DB is doing something, it ain't just one DB doing it. It's just one DB that got caught.
Amen to that, bro. No, you ain't lying. No, you ain't. No, he ain't lying. If one guy got caught out, we was all out. You just Stevie, that is brilliant. That's how I know you're a good parent. He's like, nah, y'all in this up. Because you're right about that. It is not, and I would love to see, because I know that because the CDC has talked about how they track on campus kind of their student athletes a little bit in the gambling apps and stuff. And I would love to know the number of players and student athletes who actually are gambling, like sports gambling with gambling apps and stuff. Because it's a lot more. We didn't grow up with it. Like it wasn't as accessible to us, and we didn't have any money. We were broke, Stevie. We were broke anyway. What were we gonna be bet? I ain't been on $10 bet, dude. I can't even. I barely can eat at Jack in the Box off the dollar menu. You want me to bet $10? I can eat off I can eat for 3 days off $10, man. What you talking about? That's how broke I was. So
I don't know if it came across your Twitter earlier, but the Shabazz Napier deal from 2013, where now student athletes were allowed unlimited snacks.
Yes,
and folks at the time were like, really? What more do they need? They get room and board. They get a scholarship. Like,
unlimited snacks.
But this, I mean, it's ridiculous. So the one thing that I think is really interesting when it comes to these injunctions, and Jerry posed this idea earlier on the video that you and I filmed today, Rod. Stevie, give me your thoughts on this. When it comes to injunctions and the out-of-state schools that Tech plays this year, they travel to Cincinnati.
Mm-hmm. Not bad.
Schools of Brendan Sorsby, right? They go to Oklahoma State. What's stopping one of these universities from finding a judge that will pass or find an injunction for kids that have admitted or openly, been investigated for gambling on the sport that they play to be illegal or banned or, basically not allowed to play the sport in those states? What's to stop them from doing that?
You're exactly right. And that's a really good point. And maybe you should call all those schools and bring it up to their attention. But I think that'll be also a PR nightmare for those schools. So I don't know which school is petty enough to do it.
It could be the school that had the quarterback transfer out.
Somebody, yeah. Mm-hmm.
It could be. It also could be at the end of the season, one of those schools have to win that game to get into the college football playoffs.
Yeah.
So.
Ooh, yeah.
In your back pocket.
That's another thing.
In your back pocket.
Yeah, we're talking about like for Tech. I'm going to say that the hate watch ratings are going to be through the roof, though.
Yeah, they are.
Because everybody's going to be watching Tech hoping they lose. So the hate watch ratings are going to be through the roof. I mean, they're going to be getting some numbers that are almost kind of blue blood like numbers because people going to watch them just to watch them lose. They're going to watch them because they want to watch, somebody hit them in the mouth and somebody beat them. So they're going to have that all season long. And I mean, are they going to be more hated than Michigan was throughout this season? Because the Michigan stuff came later, right? After we found out about the cheating. So it was like during the season. They're going to be hated from like start to even off season. They're the most hated team in college football now. And it ain't even close, actually. Like it's not even close anymore. Like who's more hated right now in college football than Texas Tech?
No one.
100%.
It's the brazen behavior of the entire fan base, right? It's Cody Campbell putting his thoughts and input on everything to, quote, save college sports, right? That's the act that he's trying to pass right now, while also saying, hey, this is a shame. It's the result of a broken system when, hey, you could very easily put an end to this, right? You don't have to do that. Here's the quote. Matthew brought it up. I mean, it's ridiculous that, rules for thee, not for me is essentially the game that we're playing here. But the difference from Michigan to Tech is the rule breakers at the time, they were punished, right? Or they fled the sport.
They fled the scene.
That's the difference is in a way they admitted their own guilt and said, hey, I'm not going to be around anymore. Sorry about it. Which
that's real.
In a way is the coward's way out. But again, it's the brazen brass, just kind of in your face of Texas Tech saying, we broke the rules. We don't care. We got a court to pass it. See you week 1.
I take this quote differently, and maybe it's just because I'm looking at when it says, because for those who might be listening to podcasts, this unfortunate situation is the outcome of a broken system. I'm doing everything I can to fix it, but until there is a permanent solution, Texas Tech and its student athletes have to do the best they can to navigate and compete amid the chaos that exists in the reality of the world we live in. To me, this is basically don't hate the player, hate the game. Mm-hmm. Am I interpreting it wrong, guys? Like he's like, listen, the game is messed up. It's rigged, guys. It's rigged right now. You can go there are loopholes, and you don't get mad at me for going through loophole. I'm trying to change. Is what he's saying. That's why I'm working with the Protect College Sports Act. Now y'all may look at it as being a hypocrite, and he probably is being a hypocrite. Yeah. But I look at him as saying, like, don't hate the player, hate the game. The game is messed up. It's this broken system. It's like remember when because Trump said this actually at one point too. He was like, no, he said, yeah, remember he was talking about the tax returns back when he was being elected, and he was like, oh no, yeah, look at everybody's tax returns. Go look at everybody. Everybody's cheating on their taxes pretty much. He's basically like, everybody's cheating. Doesn't matter if you're cheating because I'm good at it. Everybody's cheating on their taxes. And it's kind of blown up. I was like, damn. So he's basically kind of calling out, don't hate the player, hate the game. Y'all change the laws if y'all need to worry about that. He's basically saying, I'm trying to change the system because the system is broken. Now, is he taking advantage of a broken system? No question. But I think that's what he's saying. He's just trying to say it like a politician.
Yeah.
All right. I think the other thing is for Texas Tech, and I'm just going to keep on poo-pooing on Texas Tech, is they're paying all these players a lot of money and still not getting anywhere with it, because you cannot have a $4 million thoroughbred horse with a jockey that don't know how to take them all the way to the end. So he needs to spend money on coaches.
Oh.
Yeah. The coaching staff they have the best roster for softball, right? And that coach did not know what to do with that roster. I mean, he put what's the young lady named Nae?
Yeah.
He sat her the first game. Like, you know, what did Coach Royal always say? Dance with who bought you, right? And he changed up the whole lineup and got spanked by Texas because he has thoroughbreds on his team, but he didn't know how to jockey them to a championship. So, you know, that's just my philosophy on Texas Tech. I mean, you can do all you want to on your football roster and then go to the college football playoff and get shut out last year. So that's my little take on, you can buy all you want, but, you know, your money can't buy you class.
Beyond that.
Yeah, I would say that's a Jay-Z lyric, I think. All right. I'm with you on that. I think ultimately they're trying to get to a point status-wise where they may be able to upgrade at one point and get a top-tier coach. They may have an issue with that now because they're going to have, you know, they got a reputation now, Texas Tech, or at least they're gaining one, that they'll sacrifice morals and ethics for wins, and not every kind of coach wants to be associated with that kind of stuff too.
Yeah.
So, all right, Steve, we won't keep you too much longer, brother. We appreciate you taking the time. Thank you. Tell that lovely family of yours we said hi, and have a great rest of the week, brother.
I appreciate it, man. Don't think that we came on here just to talk bad on Texas Tech, y'all.
Hey.
We love Longhorn Nation. We love y'all. Oh, and I guess go Spurs go tonight.
Yeah. Hey, Wimby's young, man. Wimby's gonna have plenty of time.
Listen, and Wimby needed this to happen to him, man. Everybody has that bugaboo, bad playoff, and you get in the lab and try to work on it. And I think he's gonna come out a monster on the other side of this.
Yeah. Sure. I think ultimately they might have like climaxed as a team. You know what I mean? And after that Western Conference Finals, like, and I think that emotionally everything, and I think that may came back to haunt them. They're still ahead of schedule. They're still ahead of schedule. They weren't supposed to be this good this quick, and so they get back in the lab and work in the off season. They're going to be good for a long time. Yeah. They did what as a team? You know what I'm saying? They peaked too soon. All right, that's what I should have said. Peaked too soon. All right, thank you, Stevie. Appreciate you. Stevie comes with he joins us courtesy of his friends at Hardgrove Roofing, which we appreciate as well. HardgroveRoofing.com. Thank you, Stevie.
Thank you.
Thanks, Stevie.
Offices all over Texas, Louisiana, and Arkansas. They're the most pro-burnt roofing company out there. You can always reach out at hardgroveroofing.com or call them at 512-645-3202. Nose on your roof with our friends at Hardgrove Roofing. All right, let's get to the super chats. Got a bunch of them. Let's dive into them, CJ, because a lot of folks want to be heard, and I get it. All right. Thank you for the super chat. He says the rationale by the judge is egregious. Punishing him would discourage him and others to seek the help they need. Yeah, it was. I gotta say the lawyers. Is it Kessler who's his lawyer? Mm-hmm. I don't know if their legal argument was sound, but the fact that the judge bought it, I thought it was. Matter of fact, we mocked this. Remember, we mocked this quote at one point, not from him, but from, I believe it was from Texas Tech, talking about how He wanted to be emotionally connected to the team, and he brought up mental health and mental wellness. We're like, why are they playing the mental health card?
It sounded like a quote that was made up from a Twitter account to troll the actual defense. It was like, no, I just wanted to be invested and bought in. What?
Turns out that's what the judge. I mean, that's what they cited pretty much. Mental health. Essentially, Jeffrey Kessler and Scott Tumpsett argued that Sorsby deserved a temporary restraining order because he had been diagnosed with a gambling addiction. He had gone through 35-day inpatient rehab, and by banning him from playing this fall, the NCAA would not be supporting his mental health and thus potentially negatively impacting his recovery during, I think the term was probable, imminent, and irreparable harm to his mental health. And I'm like, what? So essentially, they're basically saying the consequences of his actions would have been so difficult for him to process that it would have caused him mental anguish. I feel like this is me talking to my 3-year-old daughter. It's like, yeah, you're damn right. The consequences of your actions should affect your mental health. Like
you need to understand what was wrong and why not to ever do this again. Right. Instead, put him right back in the same climate and act like nothing happened. So
wow. I can't believe it was real. And said this is just a result. This is a just result, said Jeffrey Kessler. He will continue in treatment, devote himself to his team and educating others about the dangers of gambling addiction. And there is no damage to the competitive integrity of NCAA games. So I want the young man to get the help he needs. But for them to basically argue, their legal argument is the consequences of his actions are going to do irreparable damage to his mental psyche if he has to actually have to face the consequences of his actions.
Yeah, you draw on the wall and you don't get to sit down, and you still get playtime, right? It's ridiculous.
I don't know how to judge. I believe in the appeal. They have a thing what they call. I've been reading some lawyers speak, so I apologize if I kind of sound crazy, but I believe the term is like a finding of fact. They may ask for in the appeal. The NCAA may ask for like a finding of facts, essentially I need a legal basis for your argument, for your decision. You got to give me a legal basis for it. And there are some saying that the brief did not necessarily list a legal basis. It was more about the mental distress of it than the mental basis. And basically they're saying that the NCAA, they looked at it from a competitive standpoint and they punished him looking at this case from a competitive standpoint, using that as their standard when it should have been about him as from a medical standpoint. You should have been looking at his mental health, and that should have been one of the mitigating factors. Yeah. That's why I'm not a lawyer.
That final line in his quote just it is so synonymous to me with just a no harm, no foul. Right? Yeah, hey, that's okay. We're good. Also, are you sure you want to be educating? I don't want Brandon Sorsby educating anybody on gambling. Then we're gonna have a whole team and a whole program gambling, Rod.
Seriously. Yeah. Gee, no, I can't. The NFL is going to be interesting what the NFL does with this. If now he's escaped like punishment at the college level, the NFL has a strict no tolerance policy about gambling. Yeah. And they reiterate that over and over again. I could see them pulling a stunt saying, like, suspending him before. Now, it may end up in a court of some kind, but once you become an NFL player, you can try to go to a court, but Roger Goodell's probably going to win. That's why collective bargaining works, right?
Look at Calvin Ridley. Yeah.
So that's why this also may start the conversation, a realistic one, about collective bargaining, because you wouldn't have to deal with this if you had collective bargaining. You wouldn't have to deal. You agree on these rules, the players, and then obviously the authority, whoever that is, and then you go from there. And you'll even in the collective bargaining, you'll put in there how you actually the process of appealing and litigating all of these issues. So something to think about too. All right, getting back to it. Killer 1021 says, if I'm Brandon Harris, I'm calling all the tech commits ASAP. Jalen Brewster, Jay Nelson, thank you for that super chat, Killer. Yeah, what about that? Do you think this ruling would be so unpopular that you could get some flips out of tech commits?
I don't think directly as a result of this. Now, there was something that I thought was really interesting when we talked about Joey McGuire and, should he ever move on or should he and Tech ever split up? is there enough of a stain with that logo, with that program, that coaches look at it and say, hey, I don't want all of the nonsense. I don't want to be viewed as the undisputed villain in the sport. And I wonder if there's part of that with recruits. I don't think so, not yet. But, I mean, who's to say, right? With the way that Tech has handled themselves over the last 6 months, Rod, I mean, it certainly doesn't give me any reason to think that we're not going to hear about them in the headlines in the near future for something maybe ridiculous or towing the line. And again, that's part of what I think we both believe is kind of their strategy. Talk about us, right?
Mm-hmm.
Get in the limelight, right?
Yep.
If Big Ten and the SEC split up, well, our ratings are good enough to the point where you can't go on without us.
Mm-hmm.
But I do wonder if there's, to your point, to what I've said as well, if there's too much of a hatred, if there's too much of, I only watch this team because I despise every bit of them, that folks just say, hey, I don't want to play there. I don't want to coach there. I want to be liked. I want fans to buy my jersey.
Mm-hmm.
That's something that I wonder. But right now, I don't think that there's any immediate backlash with recruits given the Sorsby deal. But Texas did have a very strong weekend with Jaden Nelson. I will say that.
All right, good stuff. SEC War Daddy, thank you for the super chat. Says, since the rules don't apply anymore, every team playing Texas Tech should institute a bounty program like the New Orleans Saints had from 2009 to 2012. Now, I don't want to make light of it because the bounty thing, you hurting people on the field. I don't want that. But to your point, SEC War Daddy, the rules, right? Like, why do you have to respect any rules now? Yeah. Essentially, like CJ's pointed out, if this is the most egregious kind of violation that you could have as an athlete, and they can't enforce that rule about betting on your own team, then what rules can they actually enforce? Yeah, like what rules can they actually really enforce? Can they really talk about tampering? You can't. There's no way you can enforce tampering rules if you can't enforce this rule.
If you're Pete Golding right now, Rod, you're sitting there, it's like, oh yeah, we tampered. We want that kid from Clemson. Oh yeah. Do something about it.
Exactly. What are you gonna do? I'll take you to court, man. And you know you're gonna lose in court. The courts hate you so much, you're gonna lose in court. Whether it's, and by the way, I meant to bring this up with Stevie because he talked about the judge recusing himself. The first judge, I'll give him credit, who was given this case for a Tech. He was a Tech grad too, by the way. I think he was. He actually did recuse himself. I think like Judge Philip Hayes or something like that. He did recuse himself. And this judge was not a Tech guy. The one who made the one who actually
undergrad at UTA and then law school at Houston.
Yeah. And he's from Fort Worth. So he was not necessarily directly tied to Texas Tech. Now the appellate court, the Seventh Circuit of Appeals, now that's all Texas Tech justice, but this guy was not, and the first one did recuse himself. So I'll give him credit for that. But SEC War Daddy, you make a point, man, about the rules. Like at this point, you should if I'm an institution right now, and not this rule, this is a moral and ethical issue. So I'm not talking about gambling and placing bets. By the way, there are some coaches bringing this up already. We're going to talk about that in a second.
Yeah.
But I would have no fear of walking the line or pushing the envelope. The NCAA can't do anything about it. They can't.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so here's
my last thought on that real quick. I saw a Josh Pate take earlier on the timeline. Just if you accepted any NCAA violations, self-reported anything over the last 5 to 10 years, how foolish must you feel? I thought that was a fantastic take.
Yeah.
Because look at what we're doing right now. There's no punishment to be had for the most heinous, golden rule that you cannot break in the sport. And folks were self-reporting over just silly things.
And man, that's a great point to think about it because they did the right thing. The self-reporting. I messed up.
It gets you nowhere.
It got you nowhere.
Deny.
Horrible lesson to teach young people is like the people that did the right thing, they got the worst punishments, and the people that decided that they wanted to try to circumvent the rules and that they didn't want to face accountability at all, they actually got a slap on the wrist and got to get paid big money. And it's a horrible lesson. It is. To that point, and we'll get back to the super chats in a second, there have already been a lot of administrators, athletic directors who have been very outspoken about their dislike for this ruling. I think the most kind of salacious has been Josh Brooks, the Georgia athletic director, Josh Brooks. He has stated, and this is kind of wild. He says he's going to send a memo to all of his sports, and this is quote what he's going to say. He said this. He's going to say in the memo, please review your sports current schedules and future scheduling plans. If you have contests currently scheduled against Texas Tech or are actively engaged in scheduling discussions with Texas Tech, please notify your sports administrator as soon as possible so we can evaluate the situation and determine next steps.
Yeah.
Effective immediately, no new contest should be scheduled against Texas Tech without approval from the athletic department. Yeah.
And the athletic director at Nebraska, very much the same. A message, the university's deputy AD sent a message out to their athletic department as well. It said, quote, I wanted to reach out to let you know we will not schedule any contest versus Texas Tech in any sport. If you currently have a future contest already scheduled, please connect with Troy, who I believe is in their athletics department.
Yeah.
Immediately. End quote. That comes from Ross Dellinger at Yahoo Sports. So,
wow.
Look, I kind of had this idea, Rod, that teams should probably do this against Notre Dame until they join a conference.
Oh, that's a good point. Peer pressure. Yeah.
I mean, but at the same time, I kind of sit here and say, we'll put Notre Dame to the side. Absolutely do this with the school that just says, hey, we'll just allow addicted gamblers to play ball without any repercussions. I do wonder, though, because when I was down in San Antonio a week ago, I heard from Joey McGuire at the San Antonio Quarterbacks Club talk about having a major home-and-home series with a major blue blood.
You're right.
A lot of folks at the time said USC. I wonder if down the road, they're going to have to face the music at some point. Do Notre Dame and Texas Tech schedule one another? I think will be really interesting.
That's a good point. Yeah. But I like the self-policing idea. The idea that you brought up that Jerry had earlier about, hey, if you're in the different state, it's petty, but filing your own kind of injunction to try to disallow Brendan Sorsby to play if you're in a state outside of Texas. It's petty, and I don't like settling stuff in litigation because that's annoying. That's not what college football is about. But I do believe in trying to pressure Texas Tech into some type of moral compass, like forcing them to make a moral decision, because right now they don't seem to be guided by a moral compass at all. All right. Yeah, I like that. All right, let's get back to super chats. Michael here says, how about this?
This is in response, Rod.
Oh,
this was pretty recent.
Really?
This was in response to the Georgia athletic director saying, hey, no more scheduling Texas Tech. Cody Campbell then comes out and says, hey, how about you worry about your own front porch, right? Why don't you clean up your own house before throwing stones? So it's going to get messy. If it's not there already, we're headed down a messy path here in college football. Yeah. And for once, and I say for once because I think a lot of this started, or at least was amplified by the comments made by Sark and Joey McGuire a couple weeks ago. But as all of this happens with Nebraska and Georgia and, Cincinnati's going to jump in, and, of course, Texas Tech's on one side as well, we kind of get to sit here and say, let me kick back. Now watch this one.
I mean, what was the last offseason we had like this? This offseason it feels like there's been like one story after, and it started out petty and, like I said, petty installation, a little trash talk, a little smack talk. And now it's to the point where this is just a full-on fustercluck.
Yes.
And it is, it is like, so the fit has hit the shade, if you will. Yep. And I think now you're going to get, even there's an athletic director in the Big 12 who, Kansas State athletic director, Gene Taylor, he actually said it's effing BS. I know the kid has a problem. Get well and focus on your problem. It is absolutely devastating for him to be able to play when every other sport, no matter the level, deems an athlete ineligible or they are punished severely for betting on their own team. And another athletic director apparently said they have to consider thinking about boycotting Tech within the conference.
Yeah.
Like that may be an option too. That he said it was Kansas State Athletic Director said we've had serious conversation about it. There's still a lot to be discussed. We aren't scheduled to play them this year, but it's something we have to look at from a college football perspective. This is greater than the Big 12. So they're going to get it within the conference. They're going to get a lot of protests outside of the conference, out of protests. There will be, I think, some unofficial sanctions, if you will. From college.
And I do wonder if that backfires, though. Like Brett Yormark release, we all love Brett Yormark over here, but he released a statement where it was kind of just towing the line. It was like, hey, I'm not pleased with this, right? This isn't exactly what we like to see from our member institutions.
Yeah.
But I kind of have to sit here and think Brett Yormark behind closed doors is sitting there saying, thank God. Folks are talking about one of our universities.
Yeah.
And so back to that point of the hate watching, it's going to work in a way that if you really wanted to make Tech feel like they were punished, no one would talk about them, no one would watch them. The ratings go down, but that's not going to be the case because the hate watch, I love a hate watch, Rod.
Me too.
I think that's a lot of why I love the NBA is because I love to hate watch teams and certain players.
Yeah.
But it's going to carry on to college football to the point where everybody's going to watch Texas Tech. I don't think there will be a game this year where Texas Tech doesn't have the highest ratings amongst Big 12 games.
Yep.
And it's going to work against what I think a lot of folks hoped it would.
Yeah, no, I agree with you about that. That's a good point. All right, Michael here says Texas High School Coaches Association posted a video on X by McGuire about he and his coaches being excited about being there for another year. Crazy. Thank you for the super chat, Michael. Yeah, I mean, Joe. I get he's got to go all in at this point. I mean, so I know some people have brought up, that he's a hypocrite because. He's kind of sold his soul. He wouldn't have ever, as a high school coach, agreed with these types of actions for one of his players. But he's in a different game now. And you see with politicians all the time, they go from local to like national. And at one point, they end up selling their soul. And I feel like for Jordan McGuire, this is a line that he probably didn't want to cross ethically. But what was he going to do? Resign? Did you expect him to resign?
Oh, you're going to tell your mega billionaire baby daddy that sugar daddy, excuse me. No,
yeah. He wishes he was his baby daddy.
Yeah.
But no, I don't think for him this is a dream job. He's out kicking his coverage. Not gonna happen. People around the country know Jordan McGuire, so not gonna happen. But thank you for that super chat. Rodney with a super chat here. Thank you for it. Says, what could the NCAA do about this? I think this is about Tech, the Big 12, and the Kangaroo Court in Loving. You always this is why the NCAA, like if somebody brought up the death penalty. I think we've actually talked about it. The death penalty is still a thing. Like it's actually having as an option. And
it sounds so archaic that you don't ever think about it.
Yeah, you don't think about it. Yeah, exactly. But they still have the death penalty. Now they're only giving it to SMU or in the history of the NCAA, but they still could. And I believe this could actually, based on the criteria for the death penalty, I'm sure it's a criteria. I think this would apply. I haven't read the criteria, but I'm sure allowing a guy to play who betted on his own team probably would apply. They won't do it. And I don't know that for a fact, but they didn't give it. If they didn't give it to Penn State
or Baylor
or Michigan State for Larry Nassar.
Yeah. Which again, significant levels of severity higher than what we're talking about.
Crimes against humanity type stuff, as opposed to just a guy gambling.
Human well-being, absolutely.
Yeah. So you talk about sexual child abuse. You're talking about sexual abuse. Horrible, disgusting things. Even people in prison will whip your butt for being guilty of stuff like that.
Yeah.
And if the NCAA did not decide to give the death penalty for that, they basically decided to put it away and shut it down. And they would. This is when some of y'all are just losing respect for the NCAA and saying, "Man, what's the purpose of this organization?" Honestly, I lost faith in them right after the Penn State thing, because remember they settled. Remember, because Penn State took them to court. Penn State started doing this first. Penn State got caught with the Sandusky thing and took the NCAA to court over the punishment. And the NCAA settled because it was all about jurisdiction and due process and all that. And maybe they would have got beaten, maybe not. Who knows? But they settled and they rescinded basically most of the punishment from Penn State. Y'all remember that? And I thought to myself, What the hell? So, and then after that, this is when we knew the NCAA had no moral compass. They only had a money compass. For the Baylor scandal, for the Larry Nassar scandal, what did Larry Nassar get? 175 years in jail or something for the 200-something women he sexually assaulted. Remember the North Carolina's academic scandal that lasted almost 2 decades? It was actually one of the largest, if not the largest, academic scandal in the history of academics at North Carolina, and honestly in sports, period, in college sports. Like it was they basically made up classes. They call them paper courses. They even found out that Dean Smith was making up classes back in the day. I'm not making this up. Go look it up. In all of those situations, 18-year-long academic scandal for North Carolina, Baylor sexual assault scandal and cover-up, Larry Nassar and his horrible, horrendous, disgusting acts there at Michigan State, the NCAA said the same thing. These are horrible acts. They do not necessarily register as NCAA violations. They did. Go look it up. They basically was like, yeah, babe, that's disgusting what they did. But sexual assault is not necessarily an NCAA violation. In the cover-up. They said that. They said that after go look it up, after the Michigan State, they was like, what are you going to do to Michigan State after Larry Nassar? It was like, well, that's not really an NCAA issue. We're like, excuse me? But what isn't it? What's the NCAA issue then? If you can't approach sports programs getting caught for lack of institutional control with crimes against humanity, then what is your purpose here? And now people are now on the same bandwagon. They have no purpose, guys. They are incompetent, inept, borderline criminal organization because of their negligence and moral turpitude. Yeah. They're borderline criminal. I'm not making it up. Seriously. This is how I feel about it. I can't side with them. Let's get to another super chat here. Okay. So NCAA, that's what they could do, but they won't do it. Byron with a super chat. Thank you, Byron. I don't see a question. If you have one, let's throw it out there. Michael has another one here. Says, for some reason, McGuire reminds me of Nick Nolte in that movie Blue Chips. He compromises his principles by breaking NCAA recruiting rules. Oh, have you seen Blue Chips, CJ?
Uh-oh.
Have you seen Blue Chips?
Uh-oh.
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 You haven't? Oh, you gotta go watch it, bro. Oh, no. There's a great scene when Nick Nolte goes off at the end of Blue Chips. Yeah, the best players money can buy. You got that scene is awesome, and it applies today. You should go watch Blue Chips. You would like it actually.
Yeah.
Anthony Hardaway, you remember that? Okay, yeah.
I know the speech.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, it's a great speech at the end. Great speech. All right. Juan.
Masseurs.
Yeah. See, he knows. All right. What Juan here with a super chat says, you think teams that play Tech are going to go headhunting on Tech quarterback Sorsby? And also the Big 12 could get Tech out of the conference, and imagine would Tech want to be kicked out of the Big 12? They could, but I'm with CJ. I don't know right now if they think if you're more secretly, I don't know if he wants that. Maybe publicly he may talk about that, but secretly. Yeah. He's got a playoff team.
I don't think teams will go headhunting on Sorsby because I think there will also be a quick whistle on
that's true
egregious hits in a way to protect him.
Yeah,
given the profile that's been generating over the last couple of months. I also say that because he didn't do anything to teams, if that makes sense, right? Like the Michigan thing, they literally robbed opposing teams of the idea that they were competing on a level basis.
That's true.
That idea was stripped from opposing teams. In some instances, I mean, it's the same instance with the Astros, right? And some pitchers that were facing the Astros in Houston that allowed 7 or 8 runs, their careers were ended, right? They were sent back down because of the outing that they had in those games. So I don't think it'll affect opposing teams like that. I don't think Tech would ever leave the Big 12, where they are the undisputed big dog in the conference at the moment, especially considering they have nowhere welcoming them with open arms.
Yeah, I agree.
If the SEC said, "Hey, we'll put all this aside. Well, we got a spot for you," then yeah, they'd be out of there in a heartbeat. Any team in the country would probably.
Yep.
I real quick, Matthew, can you bring up I just saw the tweet. I believe it came from Pete Thamel. This happened about 5 minutes ago. A tweet from Pete Thamel says, Big Ten officials are expected to discuss in the upcoming days a league-wide mandate to not play Texas Tech in any sports, per 3 Big Ten sources. This is on the wake of the Nebraska athletic director, Troy Dannon, informing his staff today that they were no longer allowed to schedule Texas Tech. So, look, I would love to see this enacted for Notre Dame, but I think this is, again, a step in the right direction when it comes to, if you're not going to enforce any rules on you, we will certainly do that with, again, and go back, Rod, the major blue blood that we were talking about is either going to be Penn State, USC. I mean, teams in the Big Ten no longer likely to be facing Texas Tech. That's a lot of money left on the table. That's a big marquee matchup for a Big 12 school.
Man. Okay, and they said any sport too. That's what really hurts you. Like, different was like football. It's like, no, any sport. Any sport is like so. Yeah. And so now, what if the SEC? Because we know Georgia's athletic director has put out a similar memo to his athletic department. And what if the SEC is like, we like this idea. Let's do it. Let's protest Tech. And that would be, man, that to me, that may be the best course of action to show unanimity with the major power conferences against this move by Tech. I like that. I applaud the Big Ten. All right. Says only relegate Texas Tech to a JUCO. I mean, that's why this season means so much to Tech now.
Shit, it'd probably be harder to get in school there if they were a JUCO. Admissions would get tougher.
Well said there. I've always heard the joke, and I like to repeat it. If you can't get your grades up, get your guns up.
Yeah.
All right. It says only crooks and frauds. Say everybody does it. Yeah. That's kind of what Cody Campbell's saying. He's like, the system is broken. Don't be mad at me because the system is broken. So he's trying to fix it, he says, but he's also taking advantage of it while trying to fix it. So that's more manipulating than fixing. But anyway, all right. Thank you for the super chat there. Juan, thank you for the super chat. Says Tech is stupid. They're calling out Texas to play them. You think Texas want to play them now, knowing that Tech could be fixing games? Oh, honestly, I'm rooting for Texas to play Tech in the playoff. I'm rooting for it now. I want to see it bad. I want the smoke. I want it all. I want it.
In hindsight, I mean, yeah, I think that would be fantastic in the playoff. But right, in hindsight, it would probably have been awesome if Texas just says, "Yeah, we'll play you week 1. You don't have a quarterback. You don't have a backup quarterback."
Yeah, we'll take Will Hammond on a messed up leg. Yeah, but Texas can't reward Tech's behavior now. So
I agree.
Hey, now you can't reward it. If this wasn't the case, then maybe. But now you can't reward that behavior. But I like that idea. They shouldn't be eligible for the college football playoff. Oh, yeah. I'm not sure who controls it. The college football playoff committee, I guess. But I don't know what their rules are about stuff like that. I don't know if they even have the ability to disallow a team from the playoff. I guess they could just say, even if you are deserving and you're 11-win team, we're not going to let you in. We're protesting you too. Now, I don't know. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I like that. I don't know if I think I'd rather them, get beaten by a team in the playoff. Then I don't think they're going to win it all. They do have a shot now, though. They went from being a Big 12 projected champion to now being a national title.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah,
and that's the thing that's lost in all of this is Sorsby is a very talented quarterback.
Yes, he is.
He is a kid that with a team if Texas Tech has a defense remotely similar to what they put on the field a year ago, especially in that front seven, who I would contend was right there with Oklahoma and Miami for the best in the entire country. Yep. If Sorsby is a guy that is eligible and able to play, they are a national championship level team.
Agreed.
He is that talented. He can certainly help ascend that offense to a level that they just quite frankly weren't able to get a year ago.
The best description I've heard is he's got mid-round film right now, film, but he's got some first-round tools. And I think that's a pretty accurate description. And that's why this season is important to him too. Because if he does put it all together, you're talking about a guy that can go early in the draft, like early rounds. This is a deep quarterback draft. 2 coming up. All right, thank you for that. All right. So there's so many things to gamble on. If you want to gamble, don't do it on your own team. I agree. I mean, the president said recently, because they were asking him about the poly markets, and he said, unfortunately, the world is a bit of a casino right now. And he's right, because remember they were talking about that U.S. Army Special Forces soldier that bet on like a military action, all in the military action, and
he's
then
on the poly market apps, and
I want to say he made like $400,000 by betting on the military action in the poly market. And I think they got charges against him and everything like that. So that's the way it should be. But that's essentially, that definitely is insider trading. But yeah, I mean, you can gamble on anything. You could have gambled on whether Sources was going to be eligible.
Mm-hmm.
You can literally gamble on that. You can gamble on anything. Like, that's what the poly market is, man. I'm still uncomfortable with it, but CJ, I know dabbles. He dabbles. Nick here with a super chat. Thank you, Nick. I don't see a question, but I really appreciate the super chat. Oh, there it is. Thoughts on UGA? Oh yeah. We get to that. The UGA. I mean, we actually love it. I hope the SEC actually follows the Big Ten's example here and kind of protest as a conference. Juan with another super chat says LSU dodged a bullet. They were second to Sourceby. That's right. Tech won that recruitment, huh? Yeah. And it's like the due diligence, though. I still want to know, and I'm with Stevie on this one. Somebody at one point has got to figure out who knew what when. Did Cincinnati know? When did they know? Because I think Cincinnati knew before he went to
Did
Tech.
Indiana know?
Did Indiana know? Exactly.
So
like,
did his teammates know?
Teammates knew. I'm with Stevie on that. Teammates knew. Teammates know. Teammates know. We know the dirt on our other teammates. We just do. We ain't gonna tell y'all, but we know. We know who's doing
well, that's why you're a teammate, right?
Yeah, you be a good one. Yeah, exactly. So I agree, and I think Stevie's right. He ain't the only one. Usually, if you're doing stuff like that, if you're doing, would you say how many bets he ended up making throughout?
Yeah, 9,000 bets.
He's doing that around other guys.
And part of what was so headline grabbing when all of this was happening was, he was betting on balls and strikes on pitches. He's not doing that alone. He's got the boys on the couch sitting right there saying, they swung at a ball in the dirt. We got lucky there.
That's right. That's exactly right. You don't do that. He ain't doing that alone.
You don't do that alone. But if you do, shoot, you need a 6-month stay in the
rehab. No outpatient. You need to be in just rehab straight for like 6 months. I'm with you on that. Nathan here says the year is 2030. A Texas Tech player is caught on video committing vehicular manslaughter. He receives a 1-game suspension against UTSA. Nathan, thank you for the super chat, Nathan. Man, I pray that you are wrong, but I would say the lack of accountability and lack of consequences. If you continue on that path, something bad's gonna happen because people are gonna keep testing the limits. And that if you're supposed to be a deterrent for other guys to gamble. It's like, oh man, that's an example. Remember what happened to Sorsby? I ain't gonna take no chance on ruining my college career. Well, now look at that example. Like, well,
yeah,
nothing happened to him. And if he goes on to have a great season, it's even a worse example for young people. So I get that. All right, thank you for the super chat. Terrence with a super chat says, Rod, CJ, old boy better not be a turnover machine. Yeah, it's gonna be a lot of pressure on this young man now. He got the most pressure on him. I think him and Arch. I'm not joking. I think of all the quarterbacks, I think Arch and Brendan Sorsby have the most pressure on them to perform of any players in college football this season.
Yeah. We've talked about it a little bit. I think if you're Sark right now, you say, thank God there's a quarterback being in the news right now that's not Arch Manning, right? For whatever, for good, bad, ugly, whatever. It doesn't matter.
Right.
Folks aren't talking about Arch. Arch isn't feeling or at least having the pressure build up the way that it was at the beginning of the year. So
I like that.
I think this is fantastic for Texas.
Yeah, and that was one of the theories of why is Sark acting so strange this offseason? Why is he calling so much attention to himself? A lot of people were like, hey, maybe he's just trying to get the attention off his quarterback for an offseason. Yeah. And mission accomplished. Michael with another super chat here says, I think this is the push the Big Ten SEC needed to break off what say you. I agree. The big complaint was this whole offseason has been about, even Sark, his big complaint has been about governance. We have these rules and we can't enforce the rules. Why can't we enforce our own rules? I need guys, look at the NFL model. They can enforce the rules. And he said that like 4 or 5 times this offseason, honestly. And the one big issue now is the lack of accountability and the lack of institutional control, if you will, I think by the NCAA, with the lack of ability to enforce their own rules. So
I agree. I absolutely. This is going to be something that we'll look back in 10 years whenever it's 2 major conferences and say, oh yeah, the NCAA just let the kid gamble and play.
That was it. Yeah. No, I think you're right about that, Michael. I think they talked about it. Now I bet there's some much more serious discussions about it. Juan with a super chat here, last one of the evening. The NFL Combine would be very interesting when coaches ask questions to source via tech players if they bet during the season. Yeah, I can't wait to see what the NFL does about this, Juan. It's a great point because I think the NFL, remember what they did with Terrell Pryor? Remember they suspended him on his way to the league?
For tattoos?
Tattoo gate or whatever it was. I think you could see that from, because this is so wildly unpopular that he's escaping accountability and consequence at the college level. I can see Roger Goodell, who's always unpopular and doesn't give a damn as long as the NFL keeps making money and the owners like him. He don't care that y'all don't like him. That's his job. And I can see him saying, nope, you're going to be suspended for a year. Once he's probably going to wait after he signs his contract, then he's officially an NFL player. Can't do it before then because then there'll be legal standing that due process, all right, wasn't, that you didn't allow him due process, right? Because he's not officially under the NFL umbrella. But once he signs that contract and then he's under the CBA, I can see Roger Goodell going, man, you suspended for the first year. You're done. Yeah. First year, you're out. Nope. And I want you to, whatever, go to gambling,
You have to find, there's penance got to be in there somewhere.
Yep.
It is interesting because I was researching Hunter Dekkers. The only other situation that was even kind of remotely similar to this, the Iowa State quarterback under Matt Campbell in 2023. Yeah. He made 366 online bets for $2,800 was the reported amount. Again, that's pennies in comparison to the 9,000 bets and $90,000 in reported wagerings. He lost all of his eligibility. He was banned. Now, wow. Iowa State and Dekkers didn't have a multi-billion-dollar, influencer basically in the back pocket to appeal. But he was banned. He went to a JUCO for his final year of eligibility. He was picked up by the Saints for about a 2-month span in the offseason. Did not make the team, was cut in camp, and now he's playing in the UFL. So that's the only other incident. And I think going into that year, Rod, he was expected to be on draft radars for Iowa State.
I remember that.
Yeah. But that's the only other instance that we've had of a player of this caliber, I guess is the best way to phrase it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's going to be interesting what the NFL
– I agree.
What they believe this is all to be.
And now you said that was $2,800. How much was it? $2,800 for him?
$2,799 was the number that I saw reported.
That is crazy. Now we're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars being bet. I feel bad for the young man. I agree with Jerry. He should sue. Everybody's going to sue. I wonder if Tech takes him to the Little 12 Media Days. Oh, they have to. They don't. They're cowards. Coward. I kid Big 12. I kid the Big 12 and I kid Texas Tech. All right, thank you guys. Great show. Great questions, super chats. Appreciate it. Let's thank our friends over at Von Lane one more time before we end tonight's live stream. Thank you to Von Lane. We appreciate them and all their support. VonLane.com. If you are traveling in anywhere in the region or anywhere in the state, whether you're doing it by driving yourself or you're using the airplanes, you can trust our friends at Von Lane to get you there in a luxurious fashion, folks. It is first-class travel experience on the ground. I'd recommend it over traveling by plane or driving yourself. I'd recommend the Von Lane, especially if you're flying those shorter routes or driving yourself in between these major Texas cities. Folks, it's great. They have free Wi-Fi, been upgraded to Starlink Internet, actually. They also have snacks and beverages on every trip. They even have complimentary meals on some departures, hot towel service as well. You can sit back, relax. They got these beautiful plush leather seats. You see those right there? You can take a nap, feel good, or you can just get some work done. Also, it's a great way to work on the way to your business trips or business meetings, whether you're going to Houston or you're going to Dallas. I've taken the Von Lane several times myself, and I love it. I'd recommend it to family, to friends. I recommend it to you guys as well. I consider you guys to be family and friends. It connects Austin, Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Fort Worth, Plano, the Woodlands, Nashville, Memphis, and Atlanta. Book at vonlane.com. That's VONLANE.com. Enter the code OTF26 at checkout for $20 off your first ride with Von Lane. That's Von Lane, your private jet on wheels. And if you're traveling for game days this upcoming season, don't forget about Von Lane, folks. They have a great route from Houston, North Houston, the Woodlands to Austin and get you there quick. You can avoid all the traffic and the delays and worrying about parking. You ain't got to worry about any of that stuff. Our friends at Von Lane, they do the stressing for you. You can just sit back, relax, and enjoy the trip. Thank you. That's vonlane.com. All right. Thanks to Matthew behind the scenes. He's the real MVP. Nobody does it better than Matthew. Thank you, CJ. Great stuff as always. Thank you to my man Stevie Lee for coming on as well. Thank you to our sponsors, Von Lane. Thank you to Prize Picks. Thank you to our friends at Hard Grove Roofing. If you missed any of your questions, please direct them to the gentleman at Coffee and Football bright and early tomorrow morning. That'll be Bobby Bird. Oh, Bobby's gonna be hyped. Because I don't think Bobby has. I think he broke this morning, so I think he got a little bit in this morning. But Bobby gonna be hyped about this. Y'all can rest assured. Y'all got it too. It's gonna be must watch streaming with On Texas Football tomorrow morning for Coffee and Football at 8:15. Him and Jerry Hamilton. Also, we'll have your Tuesday night live stream. I believe I'm going to be on the Tuesday night live stream with CJ. So we're just going to run this back again tomorrow night because I'm sitting in for my man Jeff. So for CJ and for Matthew, I'm Lifetime Longhorn Rod Babers. Until next time, hook 'em horns.
Hook 'em. Ban Sandman.